Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I am the man of the hour, the man with the power, too sweet to be sour. AJ Bond, and this is my tag team partner.
And I am the Sheriff of Wrestling, and this is the Free Count Podcast.
Hello. One day I will get this microphone to work at some point, but for now, just do it the old-fashioned way. It still counts. People can still hear it. Quality might be rubbish, but fuck it. So this is what part 2 of what we were talking about yesterday, which was talking about European top yesterday, weren't we?
Yeah, we did.
Obviously, this is a continuation to that, but this time we're going to be talking about the Intercontinental Championship, I believe, and some other belts along the way. So obviously,
we'll do the Continental first, and then we'll maybe, if there's time, we'll move on to onto other belts.
Yeah, we're trying to cram in with what we can with what we got. That's what we always do.
Pretty much.
Pretty much, yeah. It's half-assed half the time, but hey, people listen to it.
Well, that's what it's there for. So I've got a picture of all the title belts, but I can't seem to enlarge in it. So
can't seem to enlarge it.
Yeah, I've got all the replica belt. Well, it's different years with the different belts. Pretty much. Yeah. So, have you got anything to start with, or?
Well, I'll let you kick off first, and then I'll jump in as I always do, with me a little bit of knowledge.
A brief history of the Intercontinental title.
Yep.
Obviously, was formed on September the 1st, 1979.
Yes.
It's a god-awful looking belt. It's not very nice. From what I can see, obviously, on the computer, because like I said, I've got every year's Intercontinental. And as we all know, obviously, the first champion was Pat Patterson.
That is correct, yes.
Who unified the North American Championship and the South American belt.
Which was a fantasy belt, if I remember.
Yeah, it was. It wasn't a real belt. It was a fantasy belt. But obviously, instead of using North American and then obviously maybe making a South American, they just decided to put North and South America together and created the Intercontinental. So, and that was obviously Pat Patterson was the first one to hold it. I know there's I think we've worked out there's been 88 different people who have held the belt.
Yeah, something like that. We worked it out to be.
Yeah. But on the back, obviously, with that, so obviously, yeah, it's just getting the list up. So yeah, obviously, Pat Patterson was the first. Obviously, everybody knows Pat Patterson works obviously for WWE.
That's correct.
I don't know about now, but so yeah, there's been 88 people that have held it, and it's changed 182 times.
And the belt's been around since 1979.
Actually, I lie. It's been around a lot. There's been a lot more.
So the belt's been around for how long now? So what?
1979 it came around.
1979. We're now in 2022. Oh shit! Just dropped something.
It's been around over 40 years.
And we've had 182
reigns, but and I'll just get it up. How many actual champions there's been? While I'm counting these thingy, why don't you tell us your best design of the Intercontinental title?
Best design? Well, it's going to be the Reggie Parks design, which came in 1986.
Yeah.
So before that, obviously Reggie Parks only made started making belts for WWF at the time in '84, but primarily they were Hogan's belts that Reggie Parks was doing.
1979 was the first. Then it got redesigned in 1984, and then redesigned in 1986, as you just said.
Yeah, you know how that Reggie Parks title came in? Do you know the story of how that came in?
No.
So what happened is Tito Santana beat Greg the Hammer Valentine, and if memory serves me right, Greg the Hammer Valentine destroyed the belt. Hence how the new belt came in, which Tito Santana had, which then Macho Man had, which then he used Brasso on it and stripped all the fucking gold plating off the belt.
Well, there was one in 1986, which is the one that you said is your favourite.
Yeah.
And then the next one.
It's the same design from 86 all the way up to about 98. It's the same design.
With maybe little differences.
Yeah, obviously, and
I mean, looking at them, the 86 one and the 1992 one seem to kind of be like as similar as you can get, but the 1988 one is different. You can see there's a difference in it. So obviously,
I think it was just the size of the plates. I think that was just slightly different. I think it was just the sizing overall.
Looking at the pictures, it's harder to show, obviously, because it's on my laptop. But looking at these two pictures, it looks different. I'll show you after the recording anyway. I'll take a picture and I should send you it. But yeah, carry on anyway. So 1986 is your favourite. Greg the Hammer ruined the bout completely.
Yeah, so Greg the Hammer Valentine ruined the bout that Tito beat him for, which was the that sheet metal one on the green backing. It's obviously not the. I think it might have been the original one. I know WWE probably got a copy of that bout, or that might have. It might be the original one because obviously I think it was on the table for three with Christian, The Miz. I want to say Randy Orton as well. Obviously, they had the previous Intercontinental bouts from the early 80s, and that title, they had that title on display. Anyway, so getting back to the point. So yeah, Tito Santana beat Greg the Hammer Valentine. I think Greg the Hammer Valentine destroyed that bout, which led to the creation of the new belt, which Reggie Parks made, and then that was used all the way up until 98. I think early 98, I think.
98 is when the Attitude one came into play, but there's one between the Attitude. Let me just find it. So there's been 8 different belts for the Intercontinental. You had one in 1979.
Yeah.
And then one in 1984.
Yeah.
1986.
When did the overall belt came in? The one that replaced the Reggie Parks one, the oval shaped one. When did that come? Late 97, early 98.
Is that the Attitude Era one?
Yeah.
98.
98. So yeah, late 97, early 98. Because obviously it would have been late 97 because obviously this was just before Austin was primed to win the world championship, and I think that belt got the Intercontinental belt got thrown in the river.
There's a fun fact about that later on.
It was not the Intercontinental belt, was it? It was a tag team belt.
No, but I know who has that belt.
Austin has the belt, don't he?
You'll find out later.
Okay, well, I'm sure Austin got a belt. Anyway, so the overall belt came in and at that point in time, WWE obviously has switched belt makers and switched to JMar, obviously because of the dispute that Vince had with Reggie Parks, because Vince wanted to own all of the designs which had been used up until then. So the Winged Eagle, the Intercontinental, but obviously Reggie Parks didn't want to sell these designs because obviously other companies, we've seen it, ECW with the FTW Championship, starred on the wing. Basically, it was a Winged Eagle just without the bars on the side of the main plate. Obviously, their tag team championships at one point in time was just the Intercontinental belts. Yeah.
It's all right. You went really low then. I can hear you.
Oh, I went.
I can hear you, but it went. You're back now, but it went like as if you went across the room from your phone.
Oh, okay. It's probably I might have lent back, but I'll repeat anyway, just in case obviously you missed it and anyone else obviously can't hear it, apart from maybe the stray dogs in the world that could probably hear it. So obviously Reggie Park wouldn't have got as much, even though WWE would own the designs. Obviously, Reggie, in my opinion, felt that he would get a lot more business, regardless of if WWE was using that design at the time. Because, like I said, ECW had their tag team belts were stylized on the Intercontinental belt, the FTW, the original FTW title. But the original, it might be V1 or V2. Anyway, one of the FTW titles was stylized on the Winged Eagle, minus the sidebars on the plate. If you look at CMLL, their belts are heavily stylized on the Intercontinental design, even though I don't think they were made by Reggie Parks. But the point being is, if WWE was to buy those designs, at some point in time, they could have decided to go with another belt maker and not use those designs, or use those designs, but Reggie Parks wouldn't have got nothing for it. Even though those belts were being defended on TV, Reggie Parks, had royalty fees, because obviously it's his belts, it's his designs.
Yeah,
it's been on TV. So yeah, that's why WWE in the early 98 decided to have all their belts done by J-Mar. And I think that lasted up until when they brought the Intercontinental title back, the classic one, that Cody Rhodes.
Yeah, Cody Rhodes brought it back.
Yeah, brought it back. Obviously, there was controversy over that because obviously the belt was made by J-Mar, but it was a Reggie Parks design, so they had to get Reggie Parks to come in and retool it to be more accurate to the original IC title. And I think now WWE has all their belts made by Wildcat Championships. But I've got some more facts that hopefully I can bring up in a later on. But back to what you were going to say. I believe you had something to say.
No,
you were finding out. Let's see. You were finding out about the ratings, was it?
It is 88. There's 88 champions that obviously that held the Intercontinental. Was that sorry?
Okay, all right. So there's been 88.
When I was looking, I thought there was more, but like if there was two that was held at the same time or something, it just classes it as like 9. But if there was 2 in 9th place, 10's missing and it goes down to 11.
Okay.
So yeah, so it's fine. It is 88. I was right.
So in the 40 plus years, 88 people have held that belt. It's not bad.
Not really in the scheme of things. I mean, it's pretty much what. Well, obviously, there's double what's of the years it's been around, but that just obviously means it's. But then, like, if you look at what WWE do with thingy now, the Intercontinental, it's just basically used as a. Well, Vince McMahon doesn't care about it. Let's just put it that way.
Well, I like the term hot shotting. So hot shotting is they constantly hot shot the belts back and forth between different people, which sometimes be a good thing. It could probably progress storylines or start feuds or new storylines. But even sometimes, let someone have a really good run with the Intercontinental or the United States, and let them have a decent run with the belt, and not hotshot it for a couple of weeks and then decide that someone else is going to have it.
Well, obviously, as you went on, I agree. They should. They don't, and they should. I mean, both belts are being used as they're there. But obviously, going off what you were saying about your favorite belt, obviously, my favorite is the Attitude Era one. As we mentioned in the other podcast, I have a replica of it.
You do, yes.
So, that is my favorite one of all time. I don't mind. Well, the one that Cody Rhodes brought back is kind of like the 1992 one, because there's been 8 Intercontinental belts. Obviously, like I said, we got the 79, 84, 86, 88, 92, 98, 2011, and 2019, which is this new shit thing they've got. But yeah, my favorite is the Attitude Era. Obviously, that's the most time I watched WWE, and I don't mind the 92/2011 one.
Okay.
They're kind of the same. It's kind of the same as the 86 one as well. The 88 just looks a little bit different to the other 3, but the other 3 are kind of, why they got rid of the one that Cody Rhodes brought back, I do not know, because this 2019 one that Sami Zayn gave to Shinsuke Nakamura, wow. The Intercontinental used to be a nice bout. This one is just completely and utterly ruined it.
See, the thing is, like, it goes back to our point now. That championship design was not owned by WWE.
Yeah, I know.
So obviously they pay royalties for every time that championship is on television. Okay.
And they didn't always have one. They always had 3. One for TV, one for TV tapings, as in Raw or SmackDown, and then one that would be shown. Yeah, one on TV. So like if they went on a talk show, then another one on Raw or SmackDown, then another one that they took for house shows that nobody, didn't see.
Yeah. Because obviously championships over time they get battered. It's a fact. Not all wrestlers take care of the belts, so they do get battered from time to time, or they get the leather's worn, or different scenarios anyway. So if you're on a talk show or something like that, and you're on there as a champion, obviously you've got a pristine version. Or even a good-looking version for TV, because you don't really want a battered championship looking on TV, where the battered one, you can probably get away with it in house shows. But yeah, so the reason why the WWE is moving forward with the designs they have now, the Intercontinental, and obviously they updated the United States, but even the design previous to that, they own the designs to. So they own the designs to all the belts. So no one could physically copy those belts without WWE doing a whole cease and desist, and or if you don't comply, we'll fine you, or well, not fine you, but sue you for copyright infringement. So WWE own those designs, so they haven't got to pay any royalties to anybody, but just the upkeep and maintenance of the belts to who did the belts for them. But I'm sure even now they have people in house that can easily do minor repairs or probably relevering.
Well, I did read something up on the Intercontinental, the new one anyway. And obviously, when you look, it's obviously like the world is on either side of the belt. And then as you get into the thingy where it's got the Intercontinental, then you come inside and there's like a diamond. But if you look closely, it represents the ring from a bird's eye view, basically, is what they're saying.
Yeah.
That's how they designed the Intercontinental, is if you're looking down on a bird's eye view. That apparently. That's what was said. It might just be the middle bit of the belt. I'm not 100% sure. But obviously, yeah, apparently that's how they designed the Intercontinental, because they thought that's how it should look. And to me, like I said, I would have obviously, you could have gone along the lines of what it used to look like and maybe changed it a little bit so that you have your own Intercontinental. You don't have to pay when
Yeah.
it's on TV, but they completely went hell bent and changed everything.
The problem I find with WWE at the moment, and it's been this for a long time, is there is no similarity or like a uniform style, and I'll explain what I mean in a minute, to all their belts, going from the main championship down to mid card, down to tag, down to women's. Obviously, yes, you can say, well, Universal and the Raw women's and the SmackDown women's, there is similarity. Well, it's the same fucking belt, just with different coloured background and on a different strap and different wording.
Yeah, the
So yeah, all
Universal is
right,
blue,
okay.
isn't it?
I will say there is some similarity there. Well, a lot of similarity. It's just, in my opinion, it's fucking lazy design work. But what I'm getting to anyway is, if you look at other companies, I can't really say so much for Impact nowadays. Maybe as good, I probably might say Impact, because some of their belts, there is some similarity, some uniformization, if that's a word, to their belts. But if you look at like New Japan, AEW, there is some similarity or uniformization to obviously the main belt and now the women's championship, which I really like the new design for the AEW's women's championship.
Is
But
that
even
the Women's Championship or the TBS one?
the women's one, I was just getting to the TBS and the TNT, but even there, all right, the tag probably not so much, but you can sort of see that there's a theme going on. It sort of follows, that sort of traditional aspect of wrestling mixed with like modern style of wrestling with all the fucking cubic zirconias, and it's got to be really blinged out. So there is sort of a theme and unitization going on, and you can say the same for Impact and the same for Ring of Honor, another good one, obviously, because they've got the Pure Championship, the tag team belts. At the time, the original World Championship. Well, not even the World Championship, because at the time it was just the heavyweight belt, the Ring of Honor heavyweight, well, the Ring of Honor Championship anyway, and the Ring of Honor tag belts, which FTR got at the moment, and the Pure, all at one point in time were very uniform. It all looked the same. And what I'm getting by WWE is, yes or no, you got the World Universal, the Royal Women's, and obviously the SmackDown Women's Championships. And obviously, again, it's that uniformization. They all look the same. In my opinion, it's just a palette swap. That's what it is. A palette swap and some of the wording changing. That's about it. Whereas they could have had the heavyweight belt in a nice design, that sort of stylized on the women's, and obviously maybe some of the features on their tag belts, and then a good like representation on the Intercontinental and United States. For example, WCW. Okay, apart from the world belt, if you looked at their tag, their United States Championship, it had eagles on there. So there was some sort of familiarization on there.
I think the later tag team titles from WCW and the TV title were kind of like this. Were kind of like a similar shape. I don't know. They
sort of
TV title, but what I like about WCW was their main title and their secondary title, which was the United States.
Yeah,
were different.
Yeah,
they were different from each other. It was the tag team was different. The hardcore that they brought in later on, and all the other titles they decided to bring in, even though they were they weren't the greatest belts. They were different. You could tell, oh, look, that's the TV title. That's the United States. That's the world. That's the women's. That's the tag team. You could tell it. And, you can tell with WWE because obviously if Bayley walks out with a title, it's the women's. It's nothing else. But they've just made a lazy design and slapped the WWE logo on it for the like the men's one, and then they thought, how can we represent the women's? I know, make it red, slap the WWE on, it goes to Raw. They make it blue, slap the WWE logo on, let's send it to SmackDown. Fine, but then the Intercontinental and the United States have got different designs, but the designs they've got. And I know obviously they've changed it because they had to pay people, but the designs they've gone for are like really horrible. WWE in the Attitude Era and before, like in the 80s and stuff, a lot of their belts were nice.
Oh yeah, they had nice championship designs, quite a bit throughout the company.
But recently,
but now, yeah.
I mean, the tag teams are the same. But you just got a red strap or a blue strap, depending on if you're on Raw or SmackDown. What's the point? Make it relevant to the show you're on. Don't just have a red and a blue to distinguish which show you're on.
True. You know what it boils down to, though, doesn't it? It's kids. Obviously, WWE's target demographic is families.
Well, it's 18 to 49, isn't it? That's what all wrestling companies want, is the 18 to 49. Like AEW wants it, the same as WWE.
Again, WWE, I'm going to say this, fucking family-orientated company. Yes, they might want the 18 to 49 demographic, which AEW is getting a portion of that at the minute. But WWE generally, as a whole, with everything they do with the Be a Star campaign and all the Make-A-Wish stuff that they've been doing for years, it's all, and obviously some of the goofy shit that they did in some, throughout the years of wrestling with the over-the-top cartoonish sort of characters, to the new era where fucking you had people pretending that they had a day job and that they did wrestling on the side. It's always been a peaks and points, a family-orientated company. And obviously WWE sells a lot of toys. So all their belts now are fucking toys because it's just easy because they know kids want those belts. So they make them aim towards kids. They don't make them aim towards wrestling fans anymore.
It's a PG show, obviously family show, but obviously when they go head to head and they look at obviously ratings in terms of the company, both AEW and WWE won that 18 to 49 because it's supposedly the young male thing. That's where they're looking at getting, where AEW gets more 18 to 49 people watching. WWE normally take the over 50s. They get more of them because obviously people who are stuck by WWE.
Yeah, which again, because those people now, excuse me, just rub my nose, have got families. So obviously the people that are in their 50s are now introducing their children or their grandchildren to WWE, and that's why they get that demographic.
That's what I'm saying. But obviously, Vince McMahon, obviously, the chairman, obviously wants. Well, he obviously wants WWE to be top because it's his company, and he's been top a lot throughout his career with WWE. And obviously, the 18 to 49 demographic, I don't know how it works or what it's all about, but I do know that's the target audience that most people want.
Yeah.
Young males, young females. If you got, say, 750,000 18-year-olds watching WWE,
yeah,
they're going to continue to watch WWE but obviously well, say back in the 90s, you got those, 750,000 18-year-olds watching WWE. They wouldn't have watched anything else. Obviously, the problem is now a lot of superstars or wrestlers that used to be in WWE are now in AEW. So people who like, say, like John Moxley or Brian Danielson, so I'll say, Chris Jericho, and amongst others, Ruby Riott or Ruby Soho, all these people, Adam Cole and that, people who liked them are going to think, well, they're in this new wrestling show and I can also watch this wrestling show. So I'm going to watch that wrestling show. Because obviously WWE, with their ultimate wisdom, just lets everybody go or doesn't know when people's contracts are running up. And quite recently, just while we're touching on people leaving, Candice LeRae has also left WWE.
Candice LeRae.
Johnny Gargano's missus.
Oh yes, yeah.
She's not returning. Back to the Intercontinental anyway.
Yeah, let's get back to that. One thing I do want to finish on is when I was talking about obviously WCW and how their bouts had a similar theme, and you like their TV championship.
I didn't like it. I just thought it was the same as kind of the same design as their late tag teams.
Yeah, so the later TV championship, the one from I want to say 96 onwards. That was known as the mini gold, because obviously you had the big gold, you had the mini gold. They looked very similar, apart from they had a globe on it. But that's what I was on about. I was just getting on about. So there's similar themes, where it's maybe small or quite very big aspects. To obviously the WWE championships, there's always a common theme that's on most of their championships. That's what we're getting on about, and that's what I'm trying to get across about WWE. Don't get me wrong, I don't exactly like the new Intercontinental design. Don't really think much of it. The United States, though, I don't mind United States if it was a different shape but with the same pattern on there.
What, the new pattern?
Yeah, the new pattern, obviously, with the eagle, the 3D eagle.
It's better than the Intercontinental, I'll give you that.
Yeah, it is better than Intercontinental, but if it was just a slightly different shape with the same pattern, then I'd probably say, yeah, that's quite a nice looking belt. But at the minute, yes, it is. It's leaps and bounds better than the Intercontinental Championship.
Right, so while we're talking about United States and Intercontinental,
okay.
Right, so what is the second oldest wrestling belt?
Second oldest wrestling belt?
Yeah, through like WCW, NWA type thing and WWE. Obviously, the WWE is the longest running one. It's there was an oldest one, but so I'll go with WWE anyway. So WWE, their top one has been the longest reigning title in that business.
Yeah, their main championship, yes.
Yeah, the main championship. What is the second and third longest reigning championships? You have to go, obviously, so think of WWE and think of what you reckon the next two longest bouts are.
So, obviously, I'm going to say the Tag Team Championship belts.
Tag Team belts, okay?
Yeah.
Is that the second or third longest running?
I'm going to say that's the second longest running.
Okay. What do you reckon the third is?
And the third one, I'm going to say...
So we say oldest belts. Yeah, longest, oldest.
Yeah. Obviously, the Intercontinental belt, it's been around for 42 years now, I think, 42. So, well, 40 plus years.
43 years.
43 years. So, obviously, I'd probably say that's the third longest. The only one that sort of springs to mind, it wasn't around for that long, was the, well, I don't know, it might have been Outgoes. is the WWF International Heavyweight Championship or Wrestling Championship.
Wasn't that one anyway? Right.
Okay.
In terms of oldest, you're right. The Intercontinental is the third oldest.
Okay.
But the tag team wasn't even in there. The second oldest title, and that's why I mentioned WCW a minute ago, is the United States. But because the United States was WCW and it's only been WWE since 2001, the Intercontinental has been the second longest running title in WWE.
Yeah, I can see the United States being the longest. Obviously, because obviously it goes back to the NWA and goes back to I think the United States belt was I don't think it was a Crockett Championship. I think it was a Georgia Championship.
Well, that's why I was saying you had to think of like WCW, NWA type thing, because although it's now under WWE's show, the United States, it is the second longest running bout. But in WWE history, the Intercontinental is the second oldest, because obviously it was the second bout they brought in for the mid card to fight over.
And while we're talking about United States bout, the WWE originally had a United States Championship before obviously purchasing WCW. They had one many moons ago, but they had a United States Championship. But it was not affiliated with obviously the United States Championship we know today and WCWs and NWAs. Even though it was United States Championship, it was the WWF, Worldwide Wrestling Federation's United States of America Championship. But it was commonly called the United States Championship. But they had one.
Do you know, I think you might have told me that before.
Are you sure? I tell you things all the time. And it's hard sometimes to remember what I've exactly told you.
Yeah, same this way as well. I tell you things and then you'll come up with something and I'll be like, I didn't know that, but I might have told you, you might have told me. Yeah.
So, here we go. So, yes, the WWF USA Heavyweight Championship, or sometimes often referred to as United States Championship, was a singles title used sporadically in the Worldwide Wrestling Federation between 1963. Sorry, I've got my contact lens in, so I'm trying to fucking see shit. And 1977. So, yes, they did have one. And it was the company's secondary championship, singles championship at that time. So, yes, they did one, but it's not affiliated to the United States Championship, which goes back to, like I said, WCW, NWA, none of that.
Well, I was going to say, I was just like checking up something, but yeah. So moving on, obviously from that, obviously when the Intercontinental bout was obviously made, and mainly be like 80s, 90s, more around that time than nowadays. The Intercontinental was known as a stepping stone to the world title. So
it's always been that workhorse. Yeah, it's always been the workhorse belt.
Yeah, so like Austin, The Rock, Triple H, Edge, just to name a few, they've all held the Intercontinental and moved on to thingy, like the getting the world. It was always known as. I mean, nowadays it's not the stepping stone at all. It's if you hold the Intercontinental bout, you're going to lose every match you get, unless the title's on the line, then you may win. And the same in the United States, I suppose. I don't watch it. I know that's what people have been saying. Dave Meltzer also said it as well. But there's a couple of other people that just said that, it was basically, it used to be the workhorse bout in WWE, but not anymore. It's just been demoted, really.
See, it goes back to what I was saying earlier. Unless people should have a really good reign with obviously the mid card bouts. Unless it's gonna further a storyline that a bout should change hands, and but I wouldn't say it should change hands like as much as I think the later part of WCW where bouts were changing hands like no one's business. But if it's to further a storyline or start a storyline, then yeah, sometimes having the bout go back and forth can make people invested. If you're just hot-shotting the championship on a whim just to get a cheap pop, then what's the point? It's you only diminish that championship more.
Yeah.
Not the wrestler, but the actual championship will diminish more because of that.
Yeah, totally agree. Obviously, let's look at something else that I got. Obviously, as we said yesterday on the European podcast, that obviously the European title and the hardcore title both were unified into the Intercontinental.
Yes, that's right. We talked about it yesterday. Yeah.
And then when they got rid of the Intercontinental, that was unified with the World Championship. So obviously that was 2002. It went into, it came back in 2000. But it went in 2002. It became part of the World Heavyweight or WWE. But then when they did the brand split, they needed a title. Hence, from 2003 to present, the Intercontinental came back. But it only came back because WWE had realised that without European hardcore, Intercontinental, United States, and everything like that, you were only fighting for one title. There's no point, unless you're in the main event, there was no point in having a mid card. You wouldn't be fighting for anything.
But this is, again, you can look at the company as a whole and their plan going forward. The amount of titles that they had, and obviously with the brand split going forward, and you're running out of maybe booking possibilities for each championship, or you're trying to move away from obviously the hardcore style of wrestling, and that's why you want to get rid of the hardcore championship, for then only later on to bring back the Intercontinental Championship because you merged it with the World Belt. Again, it diminishes that championship. All right, the hardcore championship. Fair enough. You deactivate that championship. I wasn't really fussed when that belt got deactivated. I wasn't really fussed when that belt got introduced, really. Because it's not my sort of cup of tea, but for some people it is. Whereas, obviously, I think with the hardcore belt and with what the 24/7 championship is, it's about that can be hot potato around between anyone, and it doesn't really matter about that championship that much.
Well, it is because I think at the moment Dana Brooks, the holder of it.
Yeah.
And she's held it a couple of times actually, if I remember correctly.
Well, not as much as R-Truth's fucking 200 reign. I think he's on some stupid like that. He's on to some ridiculous amount of reign. But anyway, the point
every time he lost it, he always got it back before the end of the night or the end of the program.
Yeah.
The best one was I don't know what it was, but there was one where he was fighting the gobbledygooker.
Okay.
And they were fighting with the crowd backstage.
Yeah.
When you looked at it, you saw them stop fighting and just walk together.
Okay.
And then started fighting again because they were told they wasn't off camera.
Oh, okay. So there's a bit of a miscommunication there.
Yeah, pretty much. Do you want to take a guess on how many times the 24/7 title has changed hands?
I wouldn't even want to hazard a guess on that championship, and I can only imagine that it's changed probably. I'm going to say 60 times. I'm just gonna have a guess. I shouldn't really. I didn't really want to have a guess, but I'm going to say 60 times.
No, more than 60.
Okay.
You want to know?
Go on and tell me.
162. And have a guess at how many times R-Truth has won it.
Well, I'm going to say he's been at least 3/4 of that title change. So I'd say he's probably, I'm going to say 80, maybe 90.
No, not that much.
Oh, not that much.
No.
Okay, how much?
52.
That means he's won about 52 times, but at the same time, he's lost about 52 times.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not, like I said, that it's about that shouldn't really have to exist. And the same for the hardcore bout. It's about that. It's a title about that shouldn't really have to exist in the first place. But anyway, we're getting back to the Intercontinental and obviously being merged with the world and then obviously being reinstated.
And there's been 56 champions, by the way.
Oh, 56 champions.
On the 24/7 in its short career. But yeah, going back to the the Intercontinental.
Yeah.
Here we go. You know this, but let's go on about who's had the most reigns in WWE.
I believe it's Chris Jericho.
It is Chris Jericho.
I think he's 9.
Yeah, 9-time Intercontinental champion. He still holds it, which I'm very surprised because I thought that the fact that The Miz has had it about 8 times, I thought they might have made him win it 9, maybe lose it quickly, but then get it back and have 10.
There's still time in the Miz's career for that to happen. Don't worry, I'm sure he will surpass. He will surpass Jericho's reigns. There's still time for him yet.
Well, on the ranks of like days combined and stuff, I mean, The Miz has had 8 reigns, but obviously, so given the fact that he's had 8 reigns, it's going to give him. He's held it longer than even Jericho has with 9 reigns by a big margin as well. So combined days for The Miz, 597.
Okay.
Jericho's is only 318.
Again, it echoes back to what I was saying earlier. Unless it's going to benefit or forward a storyline that a championship changes hands back and forth. Perfect example. The issue between Jericho and China being co-champions.
That was my next thing I was going to bring up. But
whereas you look at obviously The Miz with his reigns, if for him to hold that belt for the combined reigns that he had in terms of days, that's long-term booking. So you look at him being champion for long-term and beating people, and then that gets people invested into seeing who's going to beat him, which then can start a storyline.
I mean, the one I like was, like I said, Jericho and China when they were co-champions. Obviously, it's the only time the Intercontinental has been a co-champion held. And obviously, at one point they hated each other. They couldn't get on. They'd fight each other every Raw, SmackDown, whatever. And then for a short period of time, they worked together.
Yeah.
As the champions.
And again, that storyline, even though obviously the belt was hot shot back and forth, I think, between Jericho and China, it helped build that storyline more. So when the payoff was that Jericho won in that triple threat match against China and Hardcore Holly, it made it more that bittersweet because obviously it was the end of that saga, but at the same time it elevated Jericho more, and it did really well for China. It elevated China more, and obviously Bob Holly got his moment to shine. but everyone came out of it, and including the Intercontinental title, it came out more better in fans' eyes. Everyone did. Everyone benefited from it.
Yeah.
But again, like I said, there are some times when, hot shotting about back and forth between two people, and in that case, it was obviously China and Triple H, and then everyone else trying to get a go in on it. Can help a storyline or that's already started or is in progress of starting. And sometimes you look at having long reigns can help benefit a reign. And again, because obviously you want someone to beat that person because you start getting fed up over their shit and their trash talking, and you really want someone to take the belt from them. And again, then you start to see it hot shotting back and forth between those two people. So, for example, Miz was an Intercontinental Champion, and he had the feud with Daniel Bryan. I think the bout went back and forth then. I think. Again, that's the only times that you should ever see a title go back and forth is in a main feud, or if it's going to help progress the feud. That you should see the title go back and forth. It shouldn't be back and forth for no reason.
Yeah, the title should change. Obviously, when it, because obviously, like I was reading up on the top 10 or what somebody else thinking, but the top 10 worst Intercontinental Champions.
Yeah.
You had the Godfather in there.
Well, Godfather only had it once, so you can't really say he was the worst champion.
It was because obviously it didn't elevate him to anything bigger than what he already was. Like it didn't give him anything to do. Like Albert was another one, had the title, beat Kane for it, but it didn't elevate him to anything else because he was a lot bigger in Japan. The only time he was big in WWE was when he teamed up with Test and was TNA. I mean, Test was on that list. Road Dogg was on that list because they had short stints as Intercontinental champions. Not only that, but it didn't push them to the next level, which at that point, the stepping stone was you get the Intercontinental, you are moving up in. When you lose the Intercontinental and you don't fight for it again, you're moving up into like into the WWE.
Yeah, you got to look at the people that were at the top at that point in time when those people were Intercontinental Champion. Rock, Austin, soon Triple H would join that echelon as all being world champions. So for someone like the Godfather, it didn't elevate him any more higher than what he already was. Again, his gimmick only got him so far, and it was a great fucking gimmick. Don't get me wrong; it was Charles Wright's best gimmick that he had to date, and obviously still doing it now. But you could only go so far with that gimmick. You couldn't see that person as the face of the WWE, your champion. But being a champion of a mid-card belt, yeah.
I mean, don't get me wrong. Not everyone who's held the Intercontinental bout should have gone up, but when you look at it, like obviously Austin and Rock held it, Triple H held it as well. They got put up to the main event. Chris Jericho was another one. Jeff Hardy, another one. They all held the belt and went higher up than, for the higher belt. I mean, after time, you can put them back down into the Intercontinental again, or in its thingy, the United States. But if you watch WWE now, it's all about Roman Reigns, and you've got to build up stars that Roman Reigns will have to overcome. At the moment, Drew McIntyre is, he's done Brock Lesnar. It's now Drew McIntyre. That'll be Randy Orton. I'm sure we'll probably get another one in a couple of years or in a year or so. But once you've done that, like your champions, Ricochet is the Intercontinental. I don't know who the United States champion is at the moment. Somebody on Raw, though. I know that much.
Austin Theory.
That's the one, Austin Theory, who is getting a push. But obviously, like you said, they're the next two. But you look at Austin Theory and Ricochet, none of them are going to be big stars to beat Roman Reigns. So WWE, through the Attitude Era, through the 80s, the Ruthless Aggression, John Cena came in, Rey Mysterio came in, Batista came in, and they were all had tag team or a singles title, and then they got pushed up to the main event. There's nobody in WWE that hasn't already been a world champion or fought for the world champion. They're not building future stars. Even in NXT, like you said the other day, you got 90 days to, impress. If you don't impress within 90 days, you're out. But then once the first 90 days are over, you've got to impress for the next 90 days and continue in that trend.
And with NXT, the way it's going at the minute, obviously, they're going to have a 90-day turnaround, and we discussed this in the original podcast before that went tits up. Obviously, you got 90 days now to impress the higher-ups to keep your spot on that roster. Otherwise, you're gone and they'll have someone else come in. So NXT is going to be an ever-revolving door of talent coming in and going out. And maybe some of the talent that are impressed maybe go up to the main roster, or it might just stay on NXT, but it's still early days at the minute.
It is early days, but the point, all I was trying to get at is the next bunch of talent has 90 days to impress every 90 days before they can even move to the main roster. But even on the main roster, I mean, you could push Robert Roode, Dolph Ziggler, you could push them as single stars. You don't need them in a tag team. Sheamus, you could push him. Like, he doesn't need to be with Ridge Holland and Butch, as they're calling him. But where are these people? Other than them, the Intercontinental was supposed to be, you win that, you go on. Like Sami Zayn, great wrestler, but WWE would never make him beat Roman Reigns. Finn Balor, AJ Styles, again, two guys that could win the Intercontinental or European, United States in that case, because they're on Raw. But again, they won't beat Roman Reigns. This is, whereas on, you look at, Cody Rhodes will be the one to beat him.
We've already discussed Cody Rhodes will be the one to beat Roman Reigns.
But the one to, but then you look at, I don't know, say, AEW for a minute. They have, obviously Adam Cole lost to Adam Page. Adam Page beat a couple of other people, but CM Punk will be the one to take it off him.
Mm-hmm.
But once CM Punk gets it, there is a whole group of people that have already been pushed that could challenge CM Punk. So CM Punk has like 20 to 30, maybe even more guys that he could face for that title and put them all over, like win them all. He could beat them all, but put them over, and you'd want to see more because of the wrestling they're doing. Whereas WWE, once Roman Reigns has beat you, unless your name's Brock Lesnar, once he's beat you, you're out. You're out of the title picture, and they're not making stars quick enough to do that. And obviously, like I said, back in the day when you had Bret the Hitman Hart, Macho Man Randy Savage, the two to name a few, had the Intercontinental, and then they were pushed up. And that's really what you should be doing. But I don't see Ricochet Austin Theory in a couple of years, I could see him being a bigger star. But WWE aren't that hot on Ricochet.
No, that's true. When obviously Ricochet came in, they were slightly behind him. And yeah, I could see your sentiment that people that hold the Intercontinental when the United States should be pushed further up the card. Yeah, I can agree with that. But at the same time, it probably would sell tickets. Obviously, you know, see Ricochet we could go up against Roman Reigns,
Hmm.
and it could probably even do good numbers. But at the same time, people would look at that as a squash match.
Yep.
Because you've got two different people of two different styles and two different body types, and people would just automatically assume, oh, it's going to be a squash match, and it's not really going to be worth it. But when in fact, you could actually do good numbers. And again, you know, it goes back to what I said earlier. You know, the face has got to fit the situation.
Yep.
Or the thing. You know, if you look the part, you talk the part, you can act the part, then yeah, you will get the fucking rocket strapped to your back and you will break that proverbial glass ceiling, which like Roman Reigns did. Obviously, we know with Lesnar when Lesnar first debuted. It's just that my man's got a very big thing for big, sweaty men. And doesn't really think of people that you know, anyone below 270. I'm going to say below 260 are not on his radar.
Well, that's why, like, you know, Bobby Lashley and Omos are fighting each other, because I'm sure one of them are going to be a challenger for Roman Reigns' title. Now, put Bobby Lashley in there. I think, you know, I prefer Bobby Lashley at this moment, but Omos is winning the matches because he's, God knows how tall he is, and Vince McMahon, like you said, loves big, sweaty men. It's his dream thing. He wants to go back to the 80s when we had the people like Hulk Hogan and the Ultimate Warrior and Macho Man and Texas Tornado, you know, all the ones with the big muscles. That's what he's into. But not everybody likes that style of wrestling either. So.
Well, I wouldn't really say like Macho Man was big. I think Macho Man was like 240, maybe 250.
No, but he
wasn't,
you know,
like,
when you look at him, he had big, massive, you know, he had the big muscles.
He had the look. He had the body and he had the look. He wasn't big, but he
and I think that's what I mean by not tall, but if you look at them, he was well proportioned in muscle and stuff.
Yeah, but
Scott Steiner, another one. I mean, his muscles are horrible, but he's big, he's muscly, and that's what Vince McMahon likes.
No, that is true. And then sometimes you do get the people who slip through who do make it. Obviously, you know, we've seen it with Bret Hart. Bret Hart, you know, great wrestler. Fucking not always great at promos, and he had an okay look.
He got better at promos as he went on.
Yeah, you know, but he became a champion. You had Shawn Michaels, you know.
Shawn Michaels was who I was going to say.
Great talker, great look.
Great wrestler.
Great wrestler, but fucking shit as a human being back then.
Back then, before he changed it and got into the religion and stuff. Yeah, apparently he was one of the horrible people backstage.
But anyway, again, you know, became champion, and obviously he wasn't a very big guy, but he was very athletic, and sometimes you do see that come through. You know, if we look at people that have been WWE champion and not been, you know, a fucking brick shit house, you know, you look at the people that you think of sort of average in the sense, you know, like I said, you got your Bret Hart, you got your Shawn Michaels,
Bryan Danielson.
I was going to say AJ Styles. If AJ Styles was in the shape that he was in TNA, early TNA, and then obviously became WWE champion, I would throw him in there. But he has, I think, just with his age, he's probably looking a bit more chunky than what he is.
One that I can think of that are smaller guys, like you said, the ones you've said, AJ Styles is a smaller guy as well.
Yeah.
Finn Balor.
I will throw him in there, yeah. Finn Balor. Finn Balor won the Universal, though, didn't he? He didn't win the World.
Well, saying a champion.
Yeah, like, okay. He won the
Universal, yeah.
Universal, which is saying you won second place, or, you know, here's a participation trophy for a job well done. But we say that, yes, he won that championship. And you can sort of say, yeah, it's on par with it, as much as I fucking hate that.
Well, WWE put it on par with the other title.
Yeah, but Jeff Hardy. But look how long it took Jeff Hardy to become champion.
But he was a smaller guy. That's all we're talking about now. He's a
True,
small guy.
yes, he did become champion, but it did take him a long time. But yes, again, he did become champion, and the same.
Jericho's another one. He wasn't the biggest guy when he won it.
No, true, Jericho, and you also had Kingston as well.
Yeah, Kofi Kingston.
Yeah, Punk.
I mean, even in this another one, Kurt Angle. He got musclier through his time, but when he won the actual WWE champion, he wasn't that muscly.
No, true. He would. I think he would do 230 pounds. I think doesn't that around about that? Around about 230 mark.
Mm.
He might be around about 240 mark as it goes.
I mean, people might disagree with what we're saying, but I don't reckon these guys were that big when they won the main title. But they got a push because of how hard they worked and how Vince McMahon liked them. Like Vince McMahon loves R-Truth. Don't know what. I mean, I'm sure R-Truth is a lovely guy in real life, but he's not ever going to be world champion material. I mean, again, going by smaller guys, The Miz.
Yes, true. The Miz was champion, but I think what the Miz had on his side, and he still got it now, is he is an instant heat machine.
Oh yeah, he can get heat. I mean, if you want to talk about people who can cook, we'll do an episode on great promos, so we won't get into it now. But both WWE and AEW at this moment in time both have one guy that I can think of from each company that will get himself heat just by doing a promo.
Yeah.
Obviously, we know it's the Miz in WWE. Do you know who the AEW guy is?
Yes, MJF.
Well done.
But what we're going back to. So, but if you look at it in the annals of WWE history, there's probably been more big. Maybe you could probably say sort of. How can I put it? I want to say mostly, but so, anyway, people that are of a certain stature. Or certain size that have been champion more than someone of a smaller, less physical stature. Individually, like to do again, there have been occasions, like we just listed some of them. There have been occasions where those people have won the championship, but then you can also look at too. They lost it to people bigger than them.
Oh yeah, Vince McMahon will always put the big, sweaty guy at the top, unless obviously, say with the likes of, when The Rock was champion, he wasn't that big. I mean, he's a lot muscly now. He's an actor, but at the time that he was champion, Triple H was bigger than him and Austin in terms of muscle wise. But obviously, Rock and Austin, they also had the charisma on their side. They also, when The Rock was a heel, he could get the crowd to boo him. But when he was a face, boy, did they cheer him. And obviously, I think that's where you look at it like Vince McMahon will, he's been in the wrestling business a long time. He knows how to do stuff because he's done it. But I think just at this moment, Roman Reigns is just holding on until Cody Rhodes gets there. And I don't know if Cody Rhodes will win both bouts or if he'll just win one, but I reckon, thinking before we get on, because obviously I've got something else that I wanted to ask you as well. Well, in a minute when we go back to it. Seth Rollins isn't that big either.
No, but again, Seth Rollins ain't that big. But
he has charisma and stuff like that on his side, which Vince McMahon obviously likes.
Yeah, like I said, if you can talk and you've got a good mentality and you've got a certain look, then yes, it will get you to the top of the table and you will become champion. But you would probably get there quicker if you were over 270 pounds, built like a brick shit house, and had some sort of athletic background in either football or another sport. You'd get there a lot quicker. All right, we could say the Rock. The Rock wasn't really that muscular of a guy. He was 270 pounds, and he was 6'5", 6'6",
something like that. He is quite a tall guy.
So yeah, that helped him get there, and obviously Triple H over time started to bulk out a little bit more.
Mm-hmm.
Austin got, obviously because of the whole reaction of his Austin 316 promo that he cut on King of the Ring in '96. That distracted Rocket to his back, and no one could foresee.
Well, it strapped the Rocket to his back because the next night on Raw, everybody had 316 signs and stuff, and with Austin, it was the fans that made Austin big because that promo made him. Then the fans wanted to see him. They kept on seeing him more and more and more, and Vince McMahon, the genius that he was back then, saw this and was like, right, I'm going to push him because that's who people want to see.
Yeah. So that was something that happened organic that eventually McMahon ran with for a long time because obviously, people want to see Austin. It wasn't something that he set out to happen. Obviously, yeah, Austin to win and probably become the Intercontinental Champion later on down the line, but there was probably no big plan going forward in terms of long-time booking.
No. For
Austin until obviously he cut that promo and everything happened organically, and then people started getting behind him, and then that's when they started pushing him. Again, Austin's got great charisma. That's what got him to where he was. And at one point in time, he was a great wrestler. And I know I'm going to say at one point in time, and people are going to get fucking really agitated by that. If you looked at Austin's wrestling style in WCW and early WWF at that time, he was a very solid, good wrestler. If you look at the later part of his career, and I know he had the neck injuries and obviously had to get his neck fused, which was around about 99, he had to get that done. As much as people believe that when Owen Hart power driver and he broke his neck and he had to get his neck surgery, then it wasn't. He got it 2 years later on down the line. He got that surgery.
That's when his neck was broken.
Yeah, it was broken, but it didn't require surgery. And obviously, it was 2 years later on down the line that he had to have the surgery anyway to fuse it.
When he got run over by Triple H in the car.
Yeah.
And it was Rikishi. We found out it was Triple H and Rikishi. That's when he was written. When he was written off, then that's when he had his surgery.
Yeah.
Because obviously, wrestling through it, because he never actually broke the spinal cord. Otherwise, he would have been paralyzed down from the neck. But yeah, he broke his neck, and then, like I said, he didn't go and get surgery till he was written off TV. Because obviously he was still wrestling and taking bumps, and obviously he was.
But his style of wrestling changed at that point in time. He wasn't taking that many of the big risk sort of bumps.
No, you wouldn't see him go up and do a superplex or take a superplex.
Yeah, his style of wrestling changed, and that's what I was trying to get across. If you look at Austin in his heyday, it's the same goes for Brian Pillman. If you look at Brian Pillman when he was known as Flying Brian Pillman in WCW, compared to his time in WWE, back in night and day, completely two different wrestlers in my book, two different styles of wrestling. Obviously, he was a lot better in WWE as High Flying Brian Pillman because of the moves that he did. And that's what I was getting across with Austin. Obviously, Austin's got to where he was due to his charisma that he started to develop in ECW, and which he later evolved in, obviously, WWF at the time. But wrestling aspect-wise, what I was saying, even he had a good charisma in WCW. He wasn't that bad as a Hollywood Blonde.
No.
With him and Pillman. It was a good tag team.
They were a good tag team. It's just Eric Bischoff didn't see them going anywhere, so got rid of them. But coming back to the Intercontinental, and obviously sticking with Austin.
Yeah.
And earlier on, we were on about who has about, and you said Austin has a Intercontinental belt.
Yes.
I was going to read what it says. Obviously, Steve Austin said he considered the Intercontinental Championship to be as important as the world titles, and he remains in possession of the physical belt that represented the championship during his reign because of his historical importance. So in that thing, you was right. But there's something else that I've seen that, and it, would make obviously perfect sense to why with the why the Intercontinental isn't, as high as it used to be. In the 2010s, WWE was criticised for the booking of its Intercontinental Champion, S on the end. Chris Jericho said that WWE promoter Vince McMahon told him that nobody fucking cares about the Intercontinental Championship after he asked to be placed in a match for the title at WrestleMania 29 in 2013. So if Jericho is telling the truth, and I don't see any reason why he wouldn't, and when you look at how the Intercontinental is being used now, you would agree with that obviously Vince McMahon doesn't see or doesn't think that anybody cares about the Intercontinental Championship. But if you can get the right person to hold a belt, and this is any belt, people will take interest in that belt because of the person who's holding it.
Yeah, that is true. There is some validity to that. If the right face holds the belt, and obviously it's booked correctly, then
you said it earlier, didn't you?
People will get behind it. If you're just, again, like I said, if you're just hotshotting the championship, or you're not really putting much focus on that belt or the champion, then people ain't going to care. So this is, again, it comes down to booking. If you're not just looking at what you could do with your world champion, but also at the same time your mid-card champions or the actual belts themselves, you'll find people invested in it.
Here we go. Sticking with the Intercontinental.
Yep.
It was defended at 6 main events. There were 6 events in WWE history where the Intercontinental was the main attraction of the night. So it was the last fight of the pay-per-view.
Okay.
Do you know any of them what it was? There were 6 of them.
I think there was Raw between Triple H and Kane.
This is literally pay-per-views.
Oh, pay-per-view. Okay.
The Intercontinental headlined.
Just trying to think now.
2 of them you should know. The other 4 are a bit more.
Okay, so one of them is very obvious, and I've just clicked onto the fact, and that's SummerSlam '92.
Yeah, when it was in London, England.
Yeah, I've just clicked onto that fact. Thank you very much. That was on the nose. I got that one. The second one, now I'm just trying to think. Pay-per-view wise. Trying to think now. My mind's gone all sorts of. My mind's gone actually blank at the minute.
But here you go. Obviously, SummerSlam '92 was one.
Yeah.
The 3rd and the 8th in your house pay-per-views that they used to do.
Okay.
They headlined that. It headlined Backlash 2001. It also headlined Extreme Rules 2018.
Okay.
And the other one that you'll kick yourself for, because the Intercontinental did headline, but it was also the World, was WrestleMania 6.
Oh, for fuck's sake, yes it was.
Hogan and Warrior.
Yes, I'm going to kick myself on that one. Again, that's the one I should have got. I should have realised.
Because obviously both belts were on the line, weren't they?
Yeah, that's it. Winner takes all.
Yeah, and the Ultimate Warrior came out on top. So here we go. So got a few more like bullet point things on the Intercontinental Championship. But before we go on to that, who was your favourite Intercontinental Champion? We've had your favourite belt. Who was your favourite Intercontinental Champion?
I can't really narrow it down to one. I could probably narrow it down to a few. I can't really pinpoint just one superstar that I thought was, my favourite Intercontinental Champion.
Keep on 3.
I could probably pick three.
Go on then. Who was your favourite three Intercontinental champions? Then I'll tell you mine.
So Macho Man,
Mm-hmm.
Bret Hart,
Mm-hmm.
and then I will say for my third one, I'm going to say Razor Ramon on this one. Originally, I was going to pick Mr. Perfect, but I will pick Razor Ramon because obviously the more reigns, more iconic sort of matches. Whereas obviously Mr. Perfect gave, in my opinion, the championship a lot more credibility. But I'm going to say, I'm going to stick with Macho Man, Bret Hart, and Razor Ramon, which is probably the most three obvious people that anyone would pick as Intercontinental champions.
Well, that depends on when they watch wrestling.
Well, true, but I guarantee at least maybe one of them would be in someone's list anyway.
My three, obviously, going again, obviously, you like the 80s, and don't get me wrong, I do like the 80s. It's not a bad time to like wrestling. It was actually quite good compared to what we've got now. But
Night and day.
yeah, Bret the Hitman Hart was one of my favorites.
Okay.
Obviously, growing up, I absolutely loved Bret the Hitman Hart. Another person that I thought was very good, and I'm surprised you picked Razor Ramon because he wasn't on my list, but Mr. Perfect is another one.
See, I was going to pick Mr. Perfect, but I eventually went with Razor Ramon.
Razor Ramon did have more reigns. Mr. Perfect had 2 reigns.
That's right.
Razor Ramon had 4.
That's correct.
Razor Ramon's combined days, we'll go with the combined days because WWE's combined days is lower. So Razor Ramon's is 437.
Yep.
Mr. Perfect's was 406. And just while we're on it, Randy Savage was 414. I'm looking for Bret Hart. Bret Hart, 290.
But Macho Man only had one reign as Intercontinental champion.
Yes, Macho Man only had one, yeah. But my other favourite, so yeah, Bret Hart, Mr. Perfect, and obviously it's more recent, but Chris Jericho.
Yeah.
When Chris Jericho was champion, especially around the times when he was feuding with Rhino and Stephanie McMahon, calling her the $2 million slut or whatever it was he was calling her at that time. Yeah, something like that. So now that we've done our favourites, and I also like Dolph Ziggler as well.
I thought you would. I thought you were trying to sneak him in there somewhere.
Not as much as the other 3 that I just said, and probably not as high as others. There's probably others that I do like. So some 10 points that I've also got, and I'll give you thingy. So the first one is the longest reigning, longest combined days of holding the Intercontinental Championship. Do you know who's top of the list? So this is over. He had 2 reigns as Intercontinental Champion, and he held it longer than anybody else. Do you know who that was?
I wouldn't say the Honky Tonk Man, but
no, it's not the Honky Tonk Man.
But Honky Tonk Man only had one reign.
Yes, he did.
So now I'm just trying to think. 2 reigns with the Intercontinental about. Trying to think now. Most combined amount of reigns. Is it Owen Hart?
Oh.
No, who is it then?
Pedro Morales.
Oh, yeah, fuck. I forgot Pedro Morales was his Intercontinental champion.
619 days combined. He's the record of holding it for the longest over his 2 reigns. So who was the longest reigning champion uninterrupted? So 1 reign, and while he had it, he held it longer than anybody else has.
Well, Well, again, I'm going to go back to the Honky Tonk Man.
It is the Honky Tonk Man. Honky Tonk Man only had one reign, and he held it for 454 days. So obviously, you'll know these next two. Who's the shortest reign of an Intercontinental Champion?
Shortest reign.
Yeah.
Are we talking like? Is it less than a day?
Shortest reign ever.
Oh, fuck me! I'm trying to think now. I'm sure I've said this person before. It must have been when we've had a conversation. But for the life of me now, I cannot bloody think.
You're going to kick yourself. You said it yesterday, Dean Douglas.
For fuck's sake, I did well, didn't I? Yes, because he only had the yeah.
13 minutes and 52 seconds.
You know what? If I gave myself an extra 5 minutes, I'm sure it would have came back to me.
I wasn't going to sit and let you think for 5 minutes. I'm sure the people who listen don't want to sit there for 5 minutes thinking.
Well, in 5 minutes, they could have got a drink, gone to the shop, come back, I would have got it.
Who was the only woman who won the Intercontinental Champion?
Oh, fucking easy, China.
Well, yeah, you got one. Well, you got two, actually. Who was the youngest Intercontinental Champion? And I'll tell you, they were 23 years old when they won it.
I'm going to say... I'm going to say The Rock.
No.
Who was it?
Jeff Hardy.
Oh, okay.
The
only reason why I thought The Rock is because obviously The Rock was the youngest WWE champion at the age of 25.
But if you think Jeff Hardy won the Intercontinental title at 23, and if you remember back to yesterday's with the European, he was 23 when he won that one as well.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, 23. And the oldest was 56. Who was it?
It's not going to be from the modern era because that would just be stupid. Obviously, we discussed the oldest European champion was Diamond Dallas Page.
And he was 46.
Yeah, and that was the oldest European champion.
So who was the oldest Intercontinental with being 56 years old?
I got a feeling it's someone from a long, long time ago.
Have a guess.
Trying to think. Ocean 56. I would imagine it would probably
You want to know?
Yeah, I'm sure I'm going to be sitting there for a while.
Ric Flair.
Yeah, right, he did. Yeah, Ric Flair did win that.
Because he also won it around Evolution Days, something like that.
Yeah, he did. He did. Yes, he did.
Either before or after it was one of them. I know that.
I think it was during. I think.
And the last, well, I know Randy Orton won it during, because Ric Flair was tag teams with Batista, wasn't he?
Yeah, tag team champions. Yeah.
And the last thing I have is throughout its whole career, the Intercontinental Champion has been vacated 10 times.
Okay. Well, Shawn Michaels is fucking at least 2 of those, I think.
Probably. Who knows? Shawn Michaels. relinquish the title because he didn't want to lose it to Bret the Hitman Hart. I don't know if that was the Intercontinental. It was probably the World, but so if you want to go where it was vacated, well, the Ultimate Warrior vacated the title.
Yeah, because he wasn't allowed to be a dual champion.
Warrior will relinquish the title after winning the WWF Championship in order to focus on defending the latter. WWE recognized the title as being vacated on April the 1st, 1990 at WrestleMania 6.
Yeah.
Although it was actually vacated on April the 3rd. But Shawn Michaels was the second one to vacate it. Shawn Michaels was stripped of the title for failing to defend it within 30 days. In reality, Michaels was suspended for testing positive for steroids. The third one to relinquish it was Jeff Jarrett.
Okay.
Held up when match between Jeff Jarrett and Bob Sparkplug Holly ended in controversy. So then it was vacated there. Goldust vacated it in 96. Held up when title defense against Savio Vega ended in a no contest. Then Goldust got it back, and then Ahmed Johnson got it, and he vacated it. And it says Ahmed Johnson forfeited the championship after being attacked by the debuting Farouk after winning an 11-man battle royal.
Okay.
Stone Cold Steve Austin vacated it. Vacated due to neck injury that Stone Cold Steve Austin suffered in winning the championship.
Yeah, so I remember they had a tournament for that, and it was between the finals was between Farouk and Owen Hart.
And it was the one against Owen Hart that he beat Owen, because Owen Hart had won it on the 28th of April, and on the 3rd of August at SummerSlam, Austin won it, and that's when he injured his neck. But because he couldn't really walk out alone, obviously vacated the title, which then Owen Hart got it back.
Yeah.
And then Austin got it back. But Triple H vacated the title as well due to an injury. Where else has it been vacated? Triple H again, unified with Triple H's World Heavyweight Championship. The Intercontinental Championship was deactivated.
Okay.
So that's when it was also vacated. It was also vacated from Edge due to an injury.
Seems to be a lot of injuries on this list.
I don't care about their thingy. Bad News Barrett, title vacated due to a shoulder injury.
Okay.
Daniel Bryan, due to injury.
Again, a very recurring theme of injuries that people relinquish the title.
Sami Zayn. Sami Zayn was stripped of the title after electing to refrain from competing during the COVID-19 pandemic. In storyline, he claimed to still be the champion and continue to carry around his copy of the belt after he returned in August 2020.
Yeah, I remember that, yeah.
And that was the last one. So yeah, there's a lot of due to injuries and stuff, but I'm sure other belts were vacated around that time too.
There probably were. No, there probably were. That seems to just be the answer for everything most of the time is vacate the belt, and obviously they held up a tournament to crown a new champion, or they will crown a new champion but have that superstar come back and say, wow, I never really lost the belt. As they did with Shawn Michaels and Razor Ramon, and had the crowning of the undisputed Intercontinental Champion.
Mm.
So, yes.
And you told me yesterday about the tag team ones.
About the tag team?
Intercontinental Tag Team Champions.
The International Tag Team Champions.
Was it international?
Yeah.
I was going to say I typed in Intercontinental and it brought it up.
It might have been Intercontinental or International, but yeah, it was a very short-lived championship belt. I think the only holders of that were Money Inc.
Mm.
I think they're the only holders of them particular belts. I don't think anyone held it. And obviously, you look at other titles that WWE's had, and they had a six-man tag team belt. WCW, I think, also had a six-man tag team belt.
Yeah.
Which would be nice to see nowadays because you don't really see many wrestling companies have a six-man tag team belt.
No.
WWE's got enough wrestlers for it, and I'm sure they've got a lot of people not doing anything. They could easily bring them back.
Oh, definitely.
But I think we've covered quite a bit on the Intercontinental. There's nothing more that I can really add to it that we're not already talking about.
I was just looking up, like, for the video games, what the Intercontinental Championship was in. But it doesn't show all of them. Obviously, the 2K series was obviously in that. It also been in SmackDown 2 Know Your Role.
Okay.
All the way through the SmackDown franchise and even the SmackDown versus Raw. It was on Day of Reckoning 2. Basically, I'm going to say the same ones that. The European one's probably been on.
More than likely.
But yeah,
if one championship focus had been on that game, I could only imagine that the European would, or vice versa, would have been on there.
And with the Intercontinental being around longer,
Oh yeah, that would definitely make more appearances on games than.
It probably has. Like I can't seem to find thingy. It's just giving me the from Day of Reckoning and then from 2K13 all the way up to 2K22. But it's been on other games like SmackDown versus Raws and SmackDown 2 Know Your Role for the PlayStation. Yeah, it's been on a few. But yeah, we can wrap it up there.
Yeah, we can wrap it there because I can't really think of anything further that we could discuss on the Intercontinental Championship. There's no controversies that I can majorly think of regarding that championship. But obviously, like I said, the whole Greg Valentine obviously destroying one of the championships to make way for a new design, which you can't really say is controversy. It's just a good way to write a belt off and to bring a new one in. Well, I think next time if we're going to look at controversies. Oh, actually, there has been a controversy regarding the Intercontinental Championship. But I think that's going to be a discussion for next time. And
before we go on the Intercontinental Championship, something else that was wrote because it says the championship continued to receive criticism into the 2020s. Kendall panned the recent reign as forgettable and wrote that the title had turned into a prop to be lugged around rather than the title that should be prestige. Cook wrote that it has been treated as something as an afterthought for the previous 2 decades. Don't think I'd go that low, like 2 decades, that it's been an afterthought, but it's definitely getting there.
See, the thing is, all belts are props.
Oh, they all are.
They're all props. It's not like boxing in terms of the belts obviously that they fight for. Because obviously you are fighting for that distinction to be the world champion. Whereas in wrestling, they are a prop to either propel or to.
It's how highly you thought of. If you're highly thought of, and you're the right build for McMahon, you're going to get a title shot and be the champion.
Like I said, the belts in wrestling they are props just to forward or to propel a storyline or a person or an angle. They are just there to make the show or pay-per-view more interesting. Yes, you can turn around and say there are, sometimes belts become more than just a prop, and that they do have some prestige and distinction to them, which in the case of the Intercontinental belt, the NWA World Championship, things like that, they sort of pass that, surpass that status of being a prop, and you could say, well, there is actually some distinction for that sort of championship. But again, all championships are not contested under a fair sport. They haven't been in wrestling since, I think, the 40s or 50s, when, promoters started thinking, shit, wrestlers, are really fucking hurting each other. We could, make it look real, but at the same time determine who's going to win. So before that, yes, wrestling was a contact real sport until people start wising up that shit, a lot of people getting injured, and fuck, if we want to continue doing this, then we've got to try and figure a way of doing it, but not let the fans know that we're working on.
Yeah.
And that's where it's all become predetermined. So it depends on your stance of things. If some people will see them as props, some people will see them as a legit championship to win. But again, you don't win it; you get chosen to have it. It's the person behind the camera or running the business that chooses that fate for you, or that championship's fate. It's not contested under real rules.
What you want about? I've got like the Intercontinental Championship sitting right behind me. I didn't have to win it. I just got it.
Yeah, you bought that. you bought a replica of a replica.
Got two replicas.
Yeah, well, again, you bought a replica of a replica.
In fact, the two belts we've just spoke about.
Yes, we have. Yeah, but you have. Yes, you've got the European and the Intercontinental. But anyway, so we're going to wrap up there, and I think on the next episode, I will discuss.
Talking about episodes, right? Yes. What I was thinking is, why don't we do a shorter one next time before we do the controversies? And how about we talk about video games? Because both of us are into video games, and wrestling has a lot of video games.
Okay, so for the next one, you want to talk about the
video game industry, and we can go through a list of like literally, they date back all the way to the 80s. I mean, even the Nokia N-Gage had a WWE game.
Oh, it did. Yes, it did. Game Boys had a few wrestling games.
Yeah. Phones nowadays, like I play one, Supercard. It's a wrestling game. There is a lot of games out there that have been out there, shall I say, and I've played a lot of wrestling games, and I'm sure you have too. At the moment, we still both, but we both have WWE 2K22.
We do, yes.
I'm sure we both had 2K20.
Well, I still own 2K20, but yeah,
I still own 2K20 as well. But it's still there, but that's what I mean. So, I say it's a short one, but I'm pretty sure we can get the next show to an hour on literally just talking about video games. Something that we both like in terms of wrestling and video games. Two things that we like.
Yeah, okay. I'm off that. So there you go, folks. That's going to be for the next one. And we're going to talk about the world of wrestling video games. Hey guys, it's the original Hellraiser Ichiban AJ Bomber coming to you live from the future. I just want to say I'm very sorry for how this episode abruptly ends. I've gone back to the original recording that was recorded over 2 years ago, and that abruptly ends in the exact same place, so I'm very sorry for that. But I still hope you enjoyed this episode all about the Intercontinental Championship, and that you've seen the episode I uploaded to YouTube, which was all about the European Championship as well. Going forward, I am going to be uploading some of the older episodes and the newer episodes that have been uploaded to Spotify, to YouTube as well, so please stay tuned for that. I just want to say a massive thank you to everyone that listens to us on Spotify.
I hope you're all keeping safe. I hope you're all well, and I'll see you very soon.